Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Above the Bar podcast, where each week we belly up to the bar with a new guest, find out what they do, who they are, and what makes them great. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the Above the Bar podcast. It's your host, Sean. We've bellied up to the bar today on March the 4th. I was going to say something smart ass about, March the 4th, fifth day of war, or whatever, something like that. But I'm not going to get into politics or anything silly like that. I'm just going to tell everybody that we're here to belly up to the bar. It's March. And if you're in upstate New York and you would like to know how silly our weather is, I had snow yesterday, and then I'm supposed to have 70-degree weather on next Tuesday. So, as always, see you next Tuesday with that one. But bellying up to the bar today, I always like to have fellow Marines on. We like to have Marine Corps conversations, all these kind of things. I mean, we even found a Marine who so was dedicated to the high and tight haircut. He's bald, so why not have him on here? So joining us all the way from far down, and he says it's Rockland County, but let's be honest, that's really just New York City North. But if you're from New York City, you say anything that's outside of Yonkers is upstate New York, which is the silliest damn thing in the world. But we're talking about what it's like to bring yourself back from what you feel is your rock bottom. So doing all that with me today, all the way from Rockland County, New York, and probably should have set my media up because I keep forgetting to do that. I just want to talk to my guests, folks. That's why I forget to always do that. So joining us all the way down there, it's Mr. Mike Campbell. Told you, Mike, there's no rhyme or reason to how I go about it. It's just completely off the cuff and whatever I feel like doing at the moment, whatever sounds right to me.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. What is wrong with my technology? Sometimes my technology just wants to fight me. I'm telling you.
A little too technical.
Well, it's one of these things where I'm like, it won't let me share the show from my own personal Facebook page, and I'm like, well, why are you not allowing me to share this? And it says the only person that can see the post is me. I love this. So it'll be on other. I promise you. Well, it's on my show page, and it's on all the other pages. But for whatever reason, this particular spot, and I changed my privacies a while ago. This is live. This is what live TV looks like, folks. If you've never done live. It's everything under the sun that you're like, no, this should be absolutely fine. It's not.
Seamless.
So real quick here, folks. So let's go ahead and get the house cleaning done so we can talk to Mike about his process, how he took himself from being at rock bottom and got his bootstraps up and made things happen. So as always, folks, over my right shoulder, we got the big board for sticker and a cause. If you got something you believe in, something you're supporting, you want other people to know about, you can reach out to us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok. Our website is theabovethebarpodcast.com. Our email is theabovethebarpodcast@gmail.com. You can reach out to us. Let us know what you got going on. I'll tell you where to send that sticker to. You send us a sticker. We put it on the big board. Let everybody know what you got going on so everybody can learn about what you have happening. Again, folks, that's sticker and a cause. Next thing we got to talk about here, folks, is the people who pay the bills around here, and that's Budget Blinds. And that's Budget Blinds of East Greenbush, Hudson, Coxsackie, Schoharie. I should have gave these to Mike to see how many upstate New York places he could actually pronounce. Being in Rockland, can you? You start handing them to people. You're like, can you pronounce this? But Budget Blinds of East Greenbush, Hudson, Coxsackie, Schoharie, Delmar, and Clifton Park, North America's #1 custom window treatment company, handling everything from blinds, shades, shutters, drapery, you name it. They take care of it. And as always, folks, around here, if you mention that you're there to belly up to the bar, they're going to give you an extra 5% off your entire order. And for the month of March, it is buy 2 shades, get 1 free. That's right, folks. Buy 2, get 1 free. You're never going to find that anywhere else, especially not on custom window treatments. So make sure you're reaching out to your local Budget Blinds, especially if you're up here around this area. It's Budget Blinds of East Greenbush, Hudson, Coxsackie, Schoharie, Delmar, and Clifton Park. North America's #1 window treatment company. All right there, Mike. Do you want to just call you Marine or Devil Dog the entire time?
Like I don't care. Mike or Devil Dog works for me.
Like like, do you remember when the first time you were called devil dog and you were like, yeah, that's right, I'm a devil dog, and then it became like this term, like, damn, what the hell did I do? When somebody, hey, devil dog, come here.
Yeah,
Do you remember
definitely.
when that happened?
Yeah, it's been quite a yeah. It's been '05. '05 was
Oh,
when I was in.
so
I'm you know,
is that what year you went in? Was '05?
yes, '05. It was in August of '05. Um, it was a bit of a 5 or 6 days before we actually got our uh square in, so to speak, with
Gotcha.
with the drill instructors coming on board. And in fact, the funny thing is, most people are like, "What was it like walking on the yellow footprints?" And I said, "Well, I walked over them because we had a storm coming with lightning, and they were literally like, get off the bus and go inside." I was like,
Now, oh, you didn't even stop at the yellow footprints,
"Like
really?
this is not like the commercial." I'm like, "Am I on the right bus?"
Wow, that's pretty interesting. You didn't even stop there because you had a storm.
Yeah, it was just literally like we were literally watching the lightning as we were coming on to the island. And I'm going, oh man, I'm like, this is gonna be interesting. I'm like, we're on an island. All I remember is reading stories about like, the old drill instructors running the recruits on the beach, and one of them drowned. And I'm sitting there like, okay, this should
Oh
be
yeah.
a
And there's always a million stories about that.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
dude, did you know like there was a drill instructor and he like actually like he ate some people, like, dude, it was crazy. Like he
he killed
actually
some people. We had that.
yeah.
Killed somebody with one of those opening shovels. Yeah.
I I love those stories where you're like, dude, like he murdered like everybody, like the whole platoon. You're like, I don't I don't think that was a thing. But the third battalion where they marched them off into the swamp, that is a real thing. That really
Yes.
did happen. And that's why all the crazy rules about what drill instructors can and can't do uh,
Mhm.
are real things out there. But yeah, so I mean, so you went to Paris Island, '05. What was your MOS?
That was 0311, so rifleman,
Oh,
simple Marine,
oh
and
three, oh three
it
hump.
was so my B billet was actually was security forces, which they sent me to fast company, and that's pretty much once I got through the boot camp, then the SOI, then they sent us over to Chesapeake, and that's where we really started learning more about what it was like to be a Marine. And believe me, we had quite a few characters there that taught us some stuff. One of them, we actually had, believe it or not, British Marines came out there too.
Oh, really?
It was the coolest thing. Like, we're like, dude, I remember reading about these guys. They loved us. They invited us up a lot of times. Like, oh, you guys are our heroes, giving us beer and stuff.
So I got to ask this question now. So tell everybody what Fast Company is. I know what Fast Company is. Tell folks
Fleet,
what Fast Company is.
yeah, FAST is Fleet Anti-Terrorism Security Team. So basically, you're learning about every type of weapon used in the Marine Corps, and as well as how to deploy it. And then you're literally covering everything from land navigation. You're fighting holes. You're working on how, deploying your Marines in different sectors. You're learning all of the machine gunners jobs. I mean, it's intense. It's a lot. We they tell us when we go in there, it's like high speed, but like a lot of times it's standby to standby, and I think that's the Marine Corps can kind of understand where we're coming from with that.
Oh
But
yeah.
there's a lot of micromanaging too, where somebody forgets a pair of socks was we're going out in the field, which my
Oh my
platoon, I
god.
think we were the only ones that religiously went out in the field, and it was like we're like, does our captain not like love his wife or something? Like, what's the deal? Like everybody else is a week off or whatever. We're in the field constantly, which I mean,
Is
it
that
is
is
what it
that
is.
is that not such a Marine statement to be like, dude? Do you just hate your wife? Why are why are we all out here? You have to hate your wife. We all said that at one point in time in our career. You must hate everyone in your family because there's no reason that we're all doing this right now. So you go in the Marine Corps. How many years did you do?
I only did about 2 years.
Okay, so 2 years in the Marine Corps. What happened that caused you to exit early?
I tore my meniscus, shattered my tibial plateau, and extensive cartilage damage in my left knee, which they
Wow.
actually never diagnosed. I found out once I got out,
Oh
but
wow.
basically said, "You have patellofemoral syndrome," and I'm like, "What? Patella who?" And they say, "That's
In
runner's knee." I
English?
go, "I was a runner my whole life. How did I all of a sudden develop runner's knee?" And they tried to make it like, "Well, no, you're not a runner." I'm like, "I was actually number 4, number 5 in my county as a junior." I said, "So I don't know how you're telling me I'm not a runner." And even the buddies I have, they'll to this day, they're like, "Yeah, you were like the fastest Marine in the platoon." I'm like, "I was like 5th. There was a few guys younger than me. I was 25 when I enlisted. These
Okay,
guys
so you
were
were a
like
little bit older then.
yeah." So, but I still was able to run. So when they tell me a runner's knee, I'm like, "You guys don't know what you're talking about." And to their credit, they're not the Marines, they're the Navy. No offense to Navy guys, but I was just
Listen,
like,
I
"No."
get it though. I absolutely get that though. So you end up getting out, um, man, like 2 years in, you're fast company, all these different elements. How did that affect you when you first came out?
At first, I was confused with myself because um, so I had gotten married while I was in. That was the thing. Everybody said, "Oh, you got to do it. You're married. You got to get that
Uh,
extra pay." Which I was like, "Okay, I only knew this girl like 8 months, and probably not one of the
sounds like a
smartest things
Marine.
I've done. Definitely not the dumbest, but it's up there." But so I get out, and now I'm trying to transition from Marine to civilian, and I'm still with the Marine. I got the attitude. I've got like anger management, issues. People are looking at me like, "Yeah, I don't know, this guy's a little bit, a little too gung ho, Marine Corps."
Oh yeah.
So I end up getting a job as a TE, which is a transitional employee at the post office for about 2 or 3 years, and it was kind of cool because I didn't have a supervisor over me all day, so I kind of just put my headphones on, just drop mail off. Kind of nobody bothered me except if they're looking for their mail, and I'm covering for some guy who shows up earlier. "Hey, my mail's late." I go, "Well, not according to my watch, but okay." Um, so I did that for a little while. Then I was taking the all the police exams because I felt like as a Marine,
Okay.
I like that's something I should be doing. I should be carrying a gun, and that's it. And I did mention in the meantime I was actually having surgery on my left knee, which was pretty 2 week thing. I was back 2 weeks. I was back. I had my knee drained after the first week, which is a funny
Wow.
story about that. My knee blew up like a bowling ball. And I remember sitting on a couch in my basement apartment where I was living with my now ex-wife, and I was like, it was hot. It was like May of 2007, 2008, I think, 2008. And I remember saying to myself, I'm like, I need water right now. It's really hot. She just got home. She's laying on the couch like she want to go to sleep. So I'm like, hey, can you give me water? And she's like, in a minute. And there's two cats that are kind of in the corner on top of a leather chair, and one of them swats at the other, knocks the other one, going, "Wham!" She wakes up. I'm up. I'm up. By this time, I'm already like slid off the couch. I can't push off my left knee because that's
Oh wow.
basically, once you have surgery, they tell you basically got to relearn how to walk. I was
Yep.
basically pale faced, like, and then she's just like, "Oh, I'll get your water now." I'm like, "Thanks."
Hence why this is my ex-wife.
Yeah, that many other reasons, but
So
so I
so I mean that's the I mean so you're at hey, you started a life. I'm not gonna be a Marine. I'm gonna figure it out. Like what was life before the Marine Corps then? Underwater basket weaving. What are we doing?
Yeah, I did martial arts for several years. Became
Okay.
a martial arts instructor. I enjoyed that. Unfortunately, the pay wasn't great. It's not meant to be. You're not supposed to get rich off of that. But in as a 18, 19, 20-year old, you're like, man, all my friends are going out. They're getting new cars. I'm sitting here like wondering what my next paycheck is. Can't afford to go out and drink. It's actually frowned upon when you're a martial arts instructor to be hanging out with all these different groups
Right.
and being even though a lot of the other older instructors did. I just kind of said, all right, well, let me kind of look to see what my next thing is. And over time, I just was like, I kept feeling a call. My uncle, my late uncle Aaron, he had served in the Marines. And I always remember him telling me stories about his father. And he said that, his father basically made the drill instructors look like jokers because the way his father would yell at him, he was like, I laughed when these guys tell me what to do. He's like, "There's no way they could scare me compared to what my dad did." And I'm like, "Yeah, my dad was pretty scary too." So I'm like, I think I'll be okay even at 25. And I was. I mean, nothing really fazed me. I had an extended time boot camp because I fractured my ribs, which
Damn.
everybody still try to figure out how that happened. I'm like, yeah, O course, where that you get that parallel. So
I
I
know.
don't know
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep, that bar where
I
you dive
I walked
across and you
before
try to
me.
grab it.
Yeah, the kid before me was shorter and much more athletic. I was probably 180 pounds at the time, like 20 pounds less than I weigh now. And he missed it. And I'm saying to myself, if he's missing it, I better like really like everything I got, go right into it. And I literally like took a Superman like dive, kind of landing right here. And next thing I know, I'm sucking wind, and I do get through the rest of the course, climb up the top of the ropes, do all those flips that you asked to
Right,
do.
right.
Don't know how I did that. Again, the adrenaline must have been running high. Um, and as soon as I got to the top, they asked you to sound off and say your senior drill instructor's name, and I couldn't say nothing. I couldn't even say help. So he's
Wow.
looking, senior drill instructor's looking at me, son, you okay? And I'm saying to myself like that. And he goes, come on down. And he asked me what happened, and I told him, this recruit ran into the thing, and I'm sucking air now. And he goes, okay, go to the corpsman. Now, run across the field where the corpsman is, and there's an officer. And of course, I give the proper greeting, but I didn't sound off loud enough, which
With a
obviously,
broken rib. No shit.
then he gives me to my drill hat. And he's now playing games with me on the bars, and I'm like, he's like, "Why are you over here?" I'm like, "Because I went to go to the corpsman, but sent over here." He goes, "Go to the corpsman." That's where I was. Come
That's
on, man.
listen, none of this surprises me. This sounds absolutely just about
Marine
right.
Corps, like, yep.
100%, like you're like in absolute pain. The world is ending all the way around you, and you're like, I just need help. And you don't want to say a word. We had a kid get his ribs broken because we were fighting over the moat table. And listen, folks, if you got questions, you're wondering about anything that we're talking about here, you have your own questions. You want to know what rock bottom was, and we're going to get to that here in a moment. Please drop your questions in here. Let us know what you're thinking about. But yeah, he went and grabbed the moat table, and we had a drill instructor got a little too wild and hit him with a right cross in the ribs. And
Oh,
he was the smallest guy in our platoon, and this was we ended up with 5 DIs in our platoon, and
wow.
we started with 3, and then like we started picking them up towards the end, and this guy's name was Ginther, and he was a tanker, and he had like these big monster hands, and he hit this dude, whack, and the drone senior.
Oh, we lost you. Oh, tell me you lost me.
You gotta love live video, folks, when you hit the wrong button. Uh, this is live, but yeah, drill instructor whack, hit him in the ribs, and senior was like, "You fell down the steps, didn't you?" He was like, "Yes, sir." They wrapped him up, and on we went. Didn't
Totally
drop.
believe it. Ran into a wall.
Yeah, didn't
You say
drop him.
that.
You know what you know what the funniest part of all this is, Mike? Is I could have been your recruiter.
Probably.
I started recruiting duty in '01.
Oh,
Left.
wow.
I started in '01, left in '04, came back in '06. So you were right in between my window there. And
Wow.
I came up to upstate New York in '09 and was the assistant recruiter instructor training all the recruiters in the area from
Wow.
from Westchester to Plattsburgh and out to Binghamton.
So you would have been right where I was. At that time, I got recruited in the Bronx.
So that's different then.
Yeah,
So New York
right
City had
there.
its own recruiting section. It was a very unique one.
Yeah.
So all these things are going on. You're out of the Marine Corps. You're getting jobs. What was rock bottom then?
So rock bottom came a few years later. I was already now I'm divorced. Um, I spent some time in some shelters, and
Hold on,
uh,
don't let's not bypass. A lot of people for some reason like to bypass because like I don't understand that. I've never
Yeah.
been at that point in my life where I didn't feel that I couldn't pick up the phone and call somebody, at least sleep on a couch till I got myself together. What was it that put you in a shelter? Because to me, that's rock bottom. Everybody's
Yeah.
rock bottom is different. To me, that would be
So
rock bottom.
that's scary that mine's not even there yet. So yeah, I was at the point in my life where a lot of the stuff I didn't even realize I was dealing with, but some people would notice it. They're like, you've got a little bit of an attitude, and we're not really sure. You've been out for a while now. Why is your attitude getting worse? And I didn't know. So I had my marriage. I had a daughter in that marriage. After I got divorced, I met another girl. We had a kid together, my son. Um, and things didn't work out with us. So she was actually having issues with my daughter. So we ended up kind of going our own different ways. But she basically locked me out of the house after I'd spent a weekend with my daughter and a friend because we basically said that like bringing my daughter around her was not going to be good for my daughter. Um,
Wow.
and I didn't even realize all this stuff was going on because I had so many things going on in my head. So it came to a point where um, I started getting told, like, you know what, maybe you should start, finding something to do other than, uh, these other jobs. Why don't you try going back to school? They'll pay for it because you got the GI Bill. And I'm like, you know what, that makes some sense.
Right.
And they thought maybe if I had a purpose or something, it would help me kind of deal with some of my issues. Well, if you don't deal with your issues, you're not going to really deal with
Right.
a purpose because you're going to still deal with your issues. So, I part of going through the program, for school, um, one of the veteran liaisons had said to me, um, you got to pay for some of this because of your GI Bill's not covering everything. Why don't you try to look into Voc Rehab? And I was like, Voc Rehab? How am I going to qualify for that? They're like, well, you have your knee injury, so maybe we could talk about that and see if that'll help you. So she started having me go to the VA, and this is where I really started to get kind of where I'm at now. Is you go to the VA for the knee. I'm going to the gym, getting physical therapy, and one of the guys I hang out with in the gym, we went down to the cafeteria, had some lunch one day, and he's talking to me. He goes, "You need to talk to somebody," and I'm like, "I'm talking to you." He goes, "No, you need to really like talk with
That's such a
somebody."
Marine. Listen, that's one of the most Marine statements. You need to talk to bitch. I'm talking to you right now. Why? Who else am I going to talk to?
And I
That's a
had no
very
idea
Marine
where he was
statement.
coming from. He was talking to me about mental health, and I'm sitting there like, "Mental health what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, when you say I'm mental or something? Like I don't understand this." So he says to me, "They have people here at the VA that will talk with you and kind of help you with whatever it is you're dealing with." And I don't even remember what I was talking about that day. Probably a lot of things or nothing.
Right.
Um, so then, eventually I started seeing a social worker, and you know, they're basically I'm talking about surface issues, not really like sure why I'm even there. I'm just kind of
Right.
like, yeah, today this person cut me off in traffic, that person's doing this person flipped me off. I'm a little too white for the Bronx. I'm probably like, going off on a tangent. This woman's like, hold on a second. She goes, so what I'm seeing is I think I need to enroll you into this PTSD class. And I'm like, PT what? I said, I don't mind working out. I said, I'm in the gym every day. They're like, no, PTSD. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. She said, but it's post traumatic stress disorder. And I'm saying to myself, like, I don't have a disorder. I'm like, I'm a Marine. This is the way we act. So she says, listen, you can bypass it if you like, but I recommend go to the class, take a notepad with you. If you see anything that kind of resonates with you, then great. If not, fine. We'll go to the next thing. But I just want you to, I feel like this class is for you. So sure enough, I sit in this class and I'm thinking it's a joke. I'm like, I got a notepad here, and I'm like, I'm not taking any notes. I'm just gonna listen to this person talk. As soon as they start talking about all these different little trigger things, I'm going, okay, yeah, this is kind of a little bit more real for me than I'm ready to even
Right. Then
kind
you
of,
were ready to deal with at the time.
you know. So I'm thinking about some things, and then I'm saying to myself, like, yeah. and I hear somebody talk about something that happened. I don't remember what they said, but they they mentioned something that hit me, and it goes, I haven't talked about that at all. None of the guys that I served with even knew. Like even guys that I'd be on the phone with, like after I got out, family members, any other friendships I had, never talked about anything. And that was when we were going to the pistol range on Camp Allen, and
Okay.
I had never shot a pistol before, but we were getting ready like that week to do quals. And I was like, I don't want to be the one that's never shot
Right,
before and
right.
then fail. So I'm going to go in there, try to get in, a few rounds. And I saw one of the Navy corpsmen in there that was working on my knee while I was, on injury. And that day, for whatever reason, he decided that day was going to be the day he took his life in front of me and anybody else that was there
At the range.
at the range. And I understand he had, I believe, two children. And for me, I remember standing there and I felt like time stood still. And for the longest time, I didn't tell anybody I was there for that. I remember somebody talked about it. I think it was my captain when we finished our RFDF. He had mentioned something like, okay, let's lift some beers and let's cheers. Why take your life? Why take your own life when you can take somebody else's? And I'm
Yeah.
hearing that, and at the same time, I'm saying to myself, why would I talk about this to anybody when they're not going to want to hear this story? So that's probably one of the reasons I was like, we're not talking about this. I have no reason to share it. And I think over time, between waking up and not knowing why I'm angry and sweats and um, just drinking to the point I fall asleep because I can't sleep at some points, like numbing myself out. They say self-medicating. There was a lot of things that I was doing that I didn't realize I was doing to myself that are all, you know, like by the book. And I'm literally sitting there going, how many of these criteria do you need in order to be qualified for PTSD? They're like, you only need 3 of them. I said, okay, now that was enough of a rush for me because now I'm literally feeling this this feeling of burning inside my whole body, like anger, shame. I was already dealing with the guilt because in my mind, I kept telling myself for years and years that I was responsible for him. Like I should have stopped him. Um,
Survivor's
and
guilt.
yes, and one of the things I was working on over the last year, I was in a Montrose, VA. I was doing the 28. I was in Building 28. That's the substance abuse program, and I did Building 15, which is the PTSD group. And one of the things they helped me see during all that is that, yeah, you could play that over your head all the time, no matter how many times you go over it. There's no way you're going to stop that person from doing it. And a few people have told me it, but it's like, no, but you weren't there. I was there, you weren't. Like, so I kept playing that over my head and I believed it. It's like you tell yourself something long enough, you believe it. I was telling myself I could have stopped that, and it took me a while. And part of the reason why I started getting better was I had left my faith. I was born and raised a Catholic. And after that I basically walked away. And I was an altar boy. Like my mom used to call me Father Michael. I used to, have a mass in the room, and they called me like, oh, he doesn't remember too many things, but he can literally remember every single word of the mass as if it was, you know, on a screen, for somewhere. So, so I left that, and as I started really dealing with my PTSD, like not avoiding it, but really starting to deal with it, that's what got me to where I am now in my faith. And now I consider myself a Christian, although there's a lot of different denominations within that. Whether you want to call it evangelist, you want to call it Protestant, whatever you want to call it, whatever. I've gone to different churches. The best one that I like is my younger brother's, which is in Fort Mill. It's called Life Point, and the pastor
Is it one
there,
of them? Is it one of those rock and roll churches? I can't do
they
rock and roll
they play
churches.
some great music. I can't lie
Dude,
about
I
that.
can't do it. I can't.
You know what? It
I'm,
took me a little bit
I'm a
too.
Methodist.
It
I grew
didn't
up
feel like
Catholic,
it.
ended up as Methodist. I used
Yeah.
to remember going to boot camp at the first time they said "ooh pray" instead of "oorah," and I was like,
Yeah. Like,
"What
no,
level of sacrilege are we at right now, where we've
yeah,
even taken oorah and made it ooh pray?" Do you
yeah.
remember that? Do you remember that?
I don't remember saying that in boot camp. I remember because I went to the Catholic church
Oh,
over in
right,
boot camp.
yeah, right next to 2nd Battalion.
Yes, yes, it's been that long. But it's like, the way they ran it, I kind of felt like it was almost it wasn't the church at home, but it was close enough that I kind of felt like a little bit of that connection. They played all uh, the glory fight songs, and everybody was all like, singing and getting all excited about. But I think at some point I just had said to myself that
You were
was it.
done.
I didn't really feel like I felt that connection, and I was really just looking for some answers. And the more I, read the Bible, the more I started answering them. And I ended up doing a thing where I'd wake up in the morning, I'd ask a question, and I'd literally be searching for, what's the answer in the Bible. And then I would literally take my situation kind of in a story fashion, started sending these messages out to various people through text messaging, leaving it on Facebook, and that became like a thing about a year ago. I've been doing it over a year now, and
That's awesome.
some people, read it. My ex-girlfriend, who I'm friends with her brother. She would give me the prayer hands and delete it from what he's told me. Like, but like, you don't try to send it out in the sense that you're a higher person than they are. You're like, this is the question I had that I'm dealing with, and I'm sure somebody else is thinking of the same
Right,
thing.
who can help me with this at this point?
You know, so even if it's just like, and I believe it or not, I've gotten people messaging me like, did you really just send this to me? And I'm like, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, why not?
you're the
Well,
person that received it,
and
right?
that's such an interesting thing that you said. And look, folks, if you curious what Mike's got going on, you can reach out to him on social media. He's also got a festival. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit, the Rockland Revival Festival that he's working to help put together. But it's interesting to me that you mention when you reach out with faith stuff and people get like almost offended that
Hmm.
you reached out. And I
Hmm.
promise you, my personal opinion is that's the devil inside of you made to look at itself and doesn't want to deal with it.
True.
If you are offended by the fact that someone reached out with you with a faith-based thing and said, "Hey man, I'm struggling with this. I read this." Have you ever read that and felt the same way? And if you get offended, like, why would you send that to me? Why would you send that? Then guess what, folks? If you feel that way, you need to realize that there's something inside of you that
Hmm.
is fighting to keep you down.
It's
There's no other reason.
it really is sad, and
Eh,
I
eh,
I I feel for people like that. I get a lot of people someone told me when I started sending this out on Facebook about it, and I had somebody message me about, um, "We're not alike. You're a hater," and I'm like, "I'm a hater."
what was that about?
For me to be a hater because I'm sending out things about, my beliefs,
Mhm.
that kind of tells me again what you just mentioned,
Right.
that you've got something in you that's that you're lost. You're really lost. And I wanted to say something. The flesh in me wanted to say something. You wanted to react, but I stepped back and I said, you know what? Let me block this person before I do say something, and let me pray for them. And honestly, I did. It sounds, oh my God, how do you do that?
Listen, that's the way you do it.
That's how I release it because I'm taught now, instead of getting it in my feelings and everything else, I say, you know what, I'm gonna give it to my creator, to Jesus, because that's who I believe is my savior. I'm gonna give it to him because that person is gonna need that at one point. I was lost at one point. I was very lost and destructive, self-destructive mostly. I didn't harm anybody else as far as I know of, but I was self-destructive. So that person is crying out for help, and I'm not in that position right now to help them. So if God could sprinkle some grace in their heart, just a couple sprinkles is all
That's
it
it.
takes to change that person. I firmly believe it, and I've seen it in people. People say, "You got to be crazy." You know what? Maybe that's how you feel, but until you really experience it and you understand that, I went from being a person that was told you're too far gone to be saved. And when you feel that and you feel like, what else is there left for me to do? And I'm going about doing destructive things to myself. And then someone tells you one day, you know what? Go to church. Go talk to somebody. And you start getting answers to questions that were always, up there for you. I don't care where you are in your life. You could have been the worst person on the planet, or there's still hope for you. You just got to surrender yourself and say, you know what? Let me give it to God, because revenge isn't my thing. That's His. He's going to take care of it. He's going to take care of all your worries.
That's
And
it.
I've learned that.
But
It's been hard, but and I still deal with stuff. You know what I mean? Like, as a Christian, people think, "Oh, you're perfect." No, you deal with struggles. He had the cross. He bled for you. Now you have to pick up your cross, and you have to live a life, with rejection, because he was rejected.
well,
But
it's an interesting thing here that so you hit rock bottom, and that was the hand that came to you.
mm,
That the hand that came to you was, hey, let me pull you up from here. Let me get you up from here. This is how we get you out
yes,
of this. Um, and it sounds like as you presented this to different folks and had conversations, some people were very open, like, hey man,
yeah,
that's awesome. Glad you found something that's helping you. And then other people couldn't accept that that was your help. Am I understanding that right? That
yeah.
was the way you found your way out of the bottom. That was your light. That's how you found it to move forward. Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, and I've always been taught too, with the way that I am, and one of the things I left the Marine Corps with, they said, "We would have loved to keep you. You were a great leader." And I'm sitting to myself, "How am I a leader? Like, you always took care of the guys in your platoon. You never got to be selfish. You were always looking after everybody else, and you're always trying to do the right thing, even when nobody's looking." And that's a big thing in the Marine Corps, anywhere you go. And one of the things that kind of resonated with me was, like, whatever I'm dealing with, other people are dealing with too. So if I can help somebody else while I'm still getting help, then it's kind of like, let's rise up together. I don't believe in leaving people behind, like, leave no leave leave
Leave
no
no man behind.
behind. So this is kind of like my way of saying, I'm not leaving anybody behind. I'm taking everybody with me. I'm going to heaven. I'm bringing everybody. You know what I mean? I might bring everybody, but I'm going to try. I'm going to at least introduce them. And if I can, get them on the right path, then great. If I can't, it's not on me. Maybe I'm just there to be a vessel, just to kind of, like, in passing, somebody's like, okay, at some point in their life, they're going to remember. Oh yeah, remember this guy who was trying to get me to do this? He wasn't such a bad guy. Maybe he was in a place where he was like, listen, I need help too. Let's go. Let's do this together. Because I feel like the more unity you have with people, the more everybody gets, help. And like in groups, when you're in group therapy, if I was one on one with somebody, I'm sitting there like, they're not listening to me. They're putting in the wrong notes all the time. They don't care about me. But when I'm around other veterans, and they're listening to my story, I'm listening to theirs. We're all trying to get better together. So, like, the way this revival festival that we're talking about is, you know, in 2 Chronicles 7:14, it basically says that if my people are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear them from heaven and I will heal their land. Our land right now, and our people, mostly our people, are in need of healing. Myself and everybody else here is in need of healing. And if if I could be a vessel to help others heal, that's what this is about bringing everybody together. Like you said, the rock worship music. There's something about hearing music, um, related to faith and Jesus. And if you really think about it, that man on the cross, he could have said no.
Hmm.
He actually asked his father to say, "Can you take this cup from me?" But he said no. So he said, "You know what? I'm going to be obedient because that's what I'm here for." He could have left. I actually did research on the garden, and I said to myself, like, "Man, this guy could have darted and left, and we'd all be, no better for it." But he stayed, and he did his mission. So my mission, mission guided light, is kind of like finding the people that are in the darkness, that need help, that need, uh, a savior, because we all need something. Somebody's going to try and use drugs. Somebody's going to try and, race. Somebody's going to try and do something. If they can find something that's going to fill them to the point where they're like, you know what, now I know what I'm missing. And for me, that's what it was. I really didn't have a relationship with Jesus. Until you have a relationship, you're never going to feel whole. And while you might struggle, at least now you have somebody, a friend who's going to be there for you to get you through all the tough times. And I firmly believe that. And that's where I'm at now.
It's funny you mentioned people, believe it or not. If you're interested, folks, if you're curious if God exists or not, look up Chris. What the heck's his name? Chris Langan. You know who Chris Langan is? You ever heard the
I heard,
name?
yeah.
Look up Chris Langan. He's got an IQ somewhere between like a 195 to 210, and wrote a paper of God. Wrote a paper on it, published
Wow.
it, the whole 9 yards. And the guy was a bouncer at
Wow.
and big dude, rancher and a bouncer, and dropped out of college, dropped out of high school because he was smarter than his teachers. Dropped out of college because he was smarter than his professors. Wrote a book on quantum mechanics without a degree, and it's accurate, And he wrote this whole thing, and he's like, yeah, let me sit down and see if I can theoretically prove it. He's recognized. He was once featured in Guinness Book of World Records as having the highest ever recorded IQ. Featured in Malcolm Gladwell's book Outliers for having an exceptionally high IQ that did not lead to traditional academics and professionalism. All the things you're saying just kind of reminded me of him, and saying like, listen, folks, if it's science that gets you there. So the other side to this, and we're getting close here in a moment. We'll make our last call. When did you know for yourself, I'm coming up out of the bottom?
Good question. That's a good question.
Thank you.
It was about a year ago. I feel like as I was in this program, now, when I was in the substance abuse program, one of the things they did tell me was like, your substance abuse is not because you're
What was your
uh,
drug of choice?
alcohol. I
Oh,
was I drank. I drank till I passed out.
gotcha.
Um, and a lot of it was numbing pain, pain inside, outside. Um, and the lady, I think this was Tamara, who was my treatment coordinator, TC they call it. She had said, "I don't think alcohol's really your primary issue." She goes, "I could see that with you, sounds more to me like PTSD would be better for you." Now, I just gotten COVID for about a week. She was ready to send me to the group immediately. Usually, you have to be there for a certain amount of days. I think it's like 38 days or 40 days or whatever it was. Basically, 90 days between the substance abuse and the PTSD. She's like, "I wanted to send you earlier, but you got COVID, and then that was it." She had to wait, and then there was no openings yet, so I waited another week. By the time that happened, she goes, "I'm sending you over there. You're already accepted." Um, and then it was by the time I got into that program and I started meeting with my new TC, Megan, who was amazing. She literally was able to take all the stuff that I had said over the years, and she was very good. She was like, "We're meeting every day. I don't care what you have going on. You're going to session every single day. There's no avoidance for you." And she made me sit there and literally answered every single question I had. What about this? What about this? How about this? Why not this? Why not that? And she was very straight faced with it. And she said, "Mike, the only way you're going to get through this is to go through it." She goes, "You're trying to go like this. You're trying to go around it." She goes, "You got to go straight through it." And when I started to really realize that, and I started to take my own mental health seriously and not be like, well, yeah, I got PTSD, but there's nothing I'm going to do about it. So I just got it. And then I just said, you know what? I've got to do something about it because if I want to be around other people who are going to have to deal with me, I don't want them to complain about my PTSD because that's mostly what I got. Um, and for me, that was like the come up a point where I was like, okay, I'm using my faith now to kind of help me get through it. And it doesn't mean you're gonna be all safe and everything. You're still gonna have your stuff. I mean, the devil loves to attack Christian believers, and they might not attack you through yourself. They might attack you through family, which right now my brother is going through a divorce, and I don't know if he's watching right now, but he's going through tough things right now. And I keep telling him, I said, bro, you got to really come to terms with this. And I offered trying to do baptism right before the new year for stuff hit the fan, but I really believe people once they start to accept that and start to turn their life over, it's a different game. It's a different game,
Oh,
you know.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely 110%.
I've seen so
Well,
many
real
people.
quick here. So, yep, real quick here, folks. It is last call here. So, it is the month of March. So, March into something better. March is here. New month, new momentum, and maybe a better, more reason to raise a glass. It's great to talk to a guy who's dealing with alcohol issues, and we're going to go ahead and advertise an alcohol company. This episode is brought to you by New Scotland Spirits, small batch whiskey. I'm sorry, man, it's some shit, ain't it? This episode is brought to you by New Scotland Spirits, small batch whiskey, handcrafted right here in upstate New York, made with local grain, real craftsmanship, and the kind of bold flavor that stands out from the crowd. Whether you're celebrating a win, shaking off, see you're recovered. You're celebrating a win. You should have a glass. That's wrong. I shouldn't say that.
Yep.
That's such a Marine thing to say to another Marine. Dude, you're recovered from alcohol. Here's a drink. Son of a bitch. Whether you're celebrating a win, shaking off the winter blues, or just enjoying a good conversation with great people, make sure in your glass matches the moment. Head over to newscotlandspirits.com and find your bottle. New Scotland Spirits, start the month off with a better pour. I'm sorry.
Hey,
It's such a
we're
Marine to
Marine.
do.
You know what?
It's such a
Alcohol's
Marine.
kind of like the
Hey,
prerequisite. It's like
it's like, hey man, you're doing better. You just got out of, oh man, you just got out of level 3. Let's have a drink to celebrate. Son of a
yes.
bitch. Here's an old guy. You ready for an old guy thing? I,
Okay,
I
bring it.
I'll give you an old guy Marine Corps thing. Remember,
OG. There you go.
I went to boot camp in '94, so now I get to be the old guy.
Mm,
I knew guys that didn't have alcohol issues that went to level 3 voluntarily because you could get 100 points towards your cutting score.
really?
I don't know if they still do that or not, but you could volunteer to go to level 3. And folks, if you don't know what level 3 is in the Marine Corps, level 3 is in in treatment care alcoholism.
Mhm.
You could volunteer, not even have them be like, listen, I'm concerned. I want to volunteer to go to this, and they would give you 100 points towards your cutting score, which is the score you need to get promoted in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, that sounds. I'd
That's
never
awesome.
heard about this.
That's
Not
a
that I
real
gave
thing.
it the points because I did pretty well on my PT, but
I knew guys that would like, dude, I well, gotta keep in mind, like when I first caught in, um, cutting scores weren't a rolling thing. It wasn't like every month was a new cutting score. It was dependent upon your MOS. So my first 4 years, I was a motor team mechanic, 3521. So as a 3521, we might only get promoted in the first and the third quarter.
wow.
So you could have the cutting score like first quarter, you were like, damn man, I missed the cutting score by 100 points. I'm getting promoted in the third quarter. The third quarter would come around and you're like, I'm good. And they'd be like, nah, bitch, we closed that. And
Wow.
now you're waiting another, so now it was a whole year before you're qualified again. And that new cutting score, you don't know what that number was. That's
Yeah.
why when I first in my first 4 years, our old, I don't even remember the colonel's name, but he would stand up there and he'd be like, listen, if you can make it to Lance Corporal 4 years and no NJPs, I'll drive you to the gate myself and walk you to the bus. Because that was like you accomplished something.
Yeah.
E3, 4 years, no NJPs in the early 90s, you had succeeded in some shit.
Yeah.
And then like in 97, 98, they changed it to a rolling cutting score. So every month a new cutting score would come out. So you had the opportunity you could get promoted just kind of moving forward. That was a whole thing, dude. Like that was a big deal when
Is
that
that how the
happened.
meritorious promotions used to happen? Because
Shit, meritorious. You better be sucking the chrome off a trailer hitch for somebody to even talk to you about meritorious. Uh, I got meritorious gunny, but that was because I was on recruiting duty
yeah,
and I was better than everybody else. I was very good at
yeah,
recruiting.
yeah.
Make no bones about it. So let's talk a little bit about this Rockland Revival Festival. What is this thing?
All right. The way I envision it is gathering a bunch of people. It could be Rockland County, anybody surrounding the counties. It's not exclusive, but we're basically getting everybody together. Um, we're going to have some guest speakers. We're going to have people speaking. We're going to have a worship band together. We're going to have a DJ. We're gonna possibly do food depending on how the turnout we get and how duration it goes. If it could go 2-3 hours, we're probably just gonna bring out waters. But if it's more than that, we're gonna have food. We're gonna be doing baptisms. You're gonna hear testimonies about
Oh,
people.
that's
I'm
cool.
actually gonna be getting baptized in front of everybody. I'm gonna give my story publicly. I've been waiting on this for a while, and uh, building up to this, I'm doing Bible study for people who are trying to get into it now. So I'm offering those classes. I'm going to give free Bibles out to anybody who wants to go. I just need, a list of how many people are going to be there. So I bring enough. I want everybody to have their own Bible. And upon graduation of the class, I'm actually going to give people T-shirts that say Mission Guided Light, and on the back of it, it's going to say um, Rockland Revival Festival 2026. And
Where's the
hopefully,
festival at?
right now, we don't have a date, but we're planning to have it in Rockland County. Depending on the numbers I get, I've got to determine, what's the best location, and of course, I've got to deal with, the possibility of weather conditions. So I'm thinking if I can get a big enough space to be outdoors with a tent. If I can't do that, I'm looking at a possible gym, and I've got a few people I've been contacting. We're not really sure again the numbers, and they're kind of like, well, if it's this, we could do it. If it's not, we won't be able to. So, ideally, I want to do this like once a year here, and I want to kind of take it up the East Coast. And I talked about Westchester, Putnam County, Orange County, and get as much people involved as possible. I don't care if 5 people showed up. If I can change 5 people's one person's life and bring them,
Absolutely.
to me, that's doing what I'm supposed to do because I know not everybody is ready, and you meet you in your space, meet you where you are. So
Where can
if
people find information on it?
I do have a website which I do have on my Facebook. I've been passing it out. It's oh geez, it's gonna be a lot of letters here, but I
Words have a lot of letters in them. I mean, it
yeah.
happens.
If you just
Words are
look
like
up
that. There's so many letters in words.
yeah, letters and words, Mission Guided Light, and you'll see uh Festival Worldwide, Revival Festival Worldwide. That is something if you put on any Google search, you should be able to find it. There's a lot of
Okay.
them actually when I looked up, but you should find mine. It's just getting started with that website. So every day I post something that came from me that day, whatever I was dealing with. I post it up and I let people know. If you're trying to get to know who God is, it's great to kind of hear stories about it and try to see how it works for you because everybody's story is different, but a lot of them do end up relating because we're all made from the same creator. So that's
Absolutely. Now, is this through the current church you belong to? Are they helping support this? How'd you come up with this?
I came up with it on my own, but I am working with a few pastors in the county that one of them is actually letting me use their baptismal, which I found that's great. Otherwise, like $1,300 to rent one. But he's working with me, and he was actually surprised. How he's like, "Do you have any formal theology training of a degree?" I said, "Well, I went to Fordham University." He goes, "Oh, so you basically have a degree in that?" I go, "More or less." So yeah. So and people are usually surprised when I start talking with them, and they're like, "How are we talking about the Bible so much?" Somehow it just seems to stem from a conversation, but um, I'm pretty open about my faith, and I encourage other people to as well. And if you're not sure, pick up a book. It's right in there. It's great. It's great for your health and mental health, especially. Take it from me. I was in a place I didn't think I could come out of. And the more I pick it up, the more I feel like, okay, these people are messed up too. So if they got through what they could get through, then there's hope for someone like me.
I tell
So
people all the time, until you've read the Bible, you don't understand what's in the Bible.
true.
Like people can tell you anything they want to, and once you've read it and you're like, um, there's a lot of smoting, a lot of like bloodshed and war, and especially Old Testament folks. Listen to me.
Yeah, I
Old
mean, look at
Old
David.
Testament.
David had a heart of God. He had an affair and he killed the guy whose wife he slept with, and then he still made it back. It's about just knowing in your heart, like, did I do something wrong? I gotta talk. You gotta have a relationship. If you don't have a relationship, then there's gonna come a time you're gonna face your creator and say, you know, are you in the book of life? And what did you do with my gifts that I gave you? And I'm I'm struggling with that every day, but I'm trying to find that purpose. And he doesn't tell you, but you got to listen sometimes and hope that something comes to your mind. And that's what this is. This is what I was praying on, and I felt like this was what he's calling me to do. So I'm trusting in him and see what happens. By myself, I'm not expecting to do much, but with him,
Hey,
anything is
look,
possible.
it all starts with like it says, it all start every journey starts with the first step. Now
Yep.
let's ask the most important question of the night. So you came in '05. It's just a baby. Um, favorite. So where were you stationed at? Where were you
I was
stationed? Lejeune?
in Norfolk, Virginia.
So you were actually in Norfolk.
Yeah,
You don't even say it right. It's Norfolk.
they say
So
Norfolk, Norfolk, something like
yeah,
that.
Norfolk. And then the first time you see the word, the first time you see Portsmouth, and you're like, that says Portsmouth, and they're
Yep.
like, no, it's Smith. I'm like, no, that's mouth.
Yep.
You idiots. Um, so, you fail there, so we can't ask that question, but we'll ask this one. Favorite MRE?
Favorite MRE.
That's what. So
There
who is?
was there was like a there was one with it wasn't spaghetti and meatballs. It was like a pasta and like a meat sauce with meat. I don't remember what they called it then, but I remember every time I'd be going through, looking through. That's the ones that I'd
You're not
be
talking
picking
about
up.
beef. You're not talking about beef stew, are you?
It was something like that. It could have been some variation of beef and pasta, and it had like a
Mhm.
sauce in there. I used to put Tabasco sauce on at the time
It put
before I
that.
had acid reflux. I used to be able to get away with all that stuff, but it just gave it more flavor.
Oh, listen, the old school beef stew with if you can find beef stew and the jalapeno cheese and hot
Oh,
sauce, and then you take a pack of crackers and mix them all together.
yep.
Um, I was a big fan of the Four Fingers of Death, the Frankfurters, Four
Yeah.
Fingers of Death. Folks, listen, these were four perfectly lined up Frankfurters that and now MREs have lost their mind. There's vegan MREs and vegetarian MREs and just dumb shit. So, look, folks, if you like, Mike, where can people find you if they're looking for you?
Uh, Find me on my Facebook page. Just look
With
up my
that,
name, Mike Campbell. You'll see my face. You can't miss it. There's probably 100 other Mikes, but keep looking. Pro River, New York. Um, and yeah, any questions you want to ask me a question? You want to just sit there and talk? I don't know. I'm pretty good at that.
pretty good at it.
Yeah, pretty good.
So, make sure you're seeing what Mike's got going on. And as always, folks, if you found us through Mike or Mike through us, make sure you're giving it like, share, follow. Make sure you're joining us again next week. Next week we got a gentleman coming on, Mitchell Osman. He is a trusted advisor, leadership consultant, executive coach, and host of the Dad Nation podcast. It's a top 5 podcast globally. With over 15 years of senior leadership, he helps high-performing men achieve success where it matters most, at home, in their health, and in their happiness while enhancing their careers. Oh, I almost missed my read there. While enhancing their careers' success, Mitchell has guided executive entrepreneurs and driven professionals to bridge the gap between career achievements and personal fulfillment. So make sure you join us next week to hear about what he's got going on. As always, folks, one more time here. If you find us through Mike or Mike through us, make sure you give him that like, share, follow, whatever platform you're listening to this on. Now, Mike, I know you've binged all 300 and some episodes. I don't even know how many we're up to now. It's like 300 and something. It's a lot of episodes. Been doing June, folks, will be 6 years I've been doing this.
Wow.
So how about that for one?
Milestones. There you go.
It's 6 years at that point. So as we do at the end of every episode, Mike, the guest always gets the final word. So what's our final word tonight, Mike?
Hey man, yeah. If you're lost, look to the men upstairs. Guarantee you'll find your way. Believe me.
Alrighty, folks, be sure to push your stool in.
This has been a Second Front podcast presentation found on Apple, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found.